guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. I'm your host, the fellow KGB. I'm joined tonight by Drake Sanford. We're going to be hanging out, and we'll take some questions from the chat room. We're just going to be kind of hanging out and looking at some players, or I don't know. We were kind of talking before the show off the air that we're just kind of looking at players that have value probably ahead, and maybe might be waiver wire options. So we'll kind of get into some of that stuff. But what's going on, man? Thank you for hanging out tonight, Drake.
I'm just happy to be here, man. It's 35 degrees in Wisconsin. I got shorts and short sleeves on. You know, it's almost spring here, man.
It's funny because that was when John and I hung out on Tuesday. It was the first thing we talked about because we had a 40-some degree day on Tuesday. I think Saturday is also supposed to peak into the lower 40s. So like you get that.
I see grass, Kyle. I see grass in my yard. What are we doing?
Do you remember those pictures I sent you guys on my balcony with the snow like fucking like 4 feet up? Like it's all now. So like it's
nature's shovel. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. I did throw one snowball off there just to see what we could do. But
yeah.
But anyways, I don't know. What are we doing tonight? Do you want to kind of just look at the NBA standings real quick? We did get the schedule released for the second half of the season. That's pretty cool. And John and I, we actually were talking on Tuesday night about teams that had the most games to make up from COVID. So he does have that list. Maybe we'll talk to him and try to get that list. But I think he mentioned there are a couple teams that had maybe 4 or 5 games more so than the other teams. I can't remember which ones they were, though.
You know, the Rockets are probably one.
I believe Memphis was one.
Yeah, Memphis has been one.
Washington might have been on the list.
Charlotte, maybe. Charlotte was out for a while, weren't they?
Antonio was on the list.
Yeah.
And I said Memphis already.
It's hard to guess. Yeah.
Houston. So I don't know. There's a handful of teams that if they have more game, like if they start playing 4 and 5 game weeks, like back to back, you know, you're stacking 5 games in 7 days. Like those are going to be guys that we look forward to. So I have to take a deeper peek into the schedule. Maybe I'll have something ready for next week's show.
Speaking of the second schedule, I found out that I am possibly going to be in Orlando, Florida, when the Magic and Bucks are playing down there in April. So.
Are they letting people in?
I believe so. So I was hoping that was my one thing. I was like, well, let's go somewhere that I could maybe catch an NBA game if we're going to Florida. So
right. Okay.
That might be nice. They have a couple of home games that week, so I think I will try to catch one regardless. Just kind of get there and
hopefully they're.
Enjoy.
I mean, they're kind of just. They're probably not going to be a fringe team, but they might be one of those fringe bubble teams. What is the rule? Like, is it the 9, 10, 11 seeds are going to play? I think it's 9, 10 for sure. I think it was 7, 9, 10. I think those 4 teams are going to compete for something.
Yeah, I thought there was an 11 in there too, but
I'm excited for how that's going to play out.
As a Cavs fan, I'm just ready to be the last seed.
Well, I mean, Detroit and Minnesota is doing a pretty good job, I think, in both conferences.
Yeah,
so that might be a little bit, but I think I kind of wanted to talk about Jarrett Allen with you today. So while we're kind of just flowing here. Because I had one of my one of the guys on the show, Justin, who's usually one of the regulars here. He hits me up on the comments a lot, and he was asking about Jarrett Allen because someone offered him a trade, and I think he was the Jarrett Allen owner, and someone tried sending him Jeremy Grant, and I'm like, no, we're holding Jarrett Allen. And I think when that happened, I was like, I think we need to make sure people know that Jarrett Allen, he's like a top 10, top 15 fantasy player, probably the rest of the way. And yeah, there's Justin right now commenting. But Jarrett Allen, man. So, like, do you get a chance to watch your Cavs games, or how have you been watching your Cavs?
You know, it's usually just kind of the house of highlights stuff. I box score watch a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get a lot of Cavs game. Early in the season, we did. I used to be a huge fan of the NBA League Pass, but that was Cavs' glory run there. I don't need to watch the Cavs lose to the Orlando Magic on a Tuesday night now. You know, I can just follow that. So I do not see a lot. I see the highlights, or I follow a lot on Reddit too. Obviously, I'm a member of the Cleveland Cavs subreddit there. So, Jarrett Allen's a real deal. Happy to have him on my fantasy team. He's a guy I was been targeting.
He was like an 8th or 9th round pick, right?
Yeah, him and Miles Turner, just long guys that can block shots and get rebounds. I just love that for fantasy. And then he gets in the perfect situation now. He's with the Cavs, so he gets 26 points. you know?
I can't remember when like they actually said we're not going to play Drummond anymore, but I think this last 4-game sample is
It was last week. It was the beginning of last week when they were playing the Warriors.
So
Draymond had some comments about it, rightfully so.
Right. And the way that I have this filtered right now is I have it filtered by the last 7 days. And Jarrett Allen's the 6th best fantasy player in the last 7 days. And you
Yes, sir. Is that Jamal Murray right there too? Man.
That was Deontay.
No, right there.
In the
Jamal.
video.
Yeah. Right behind Westbrook. Look how much he's climbed.
Yep.
I mean, a couple of weeks ago we were talking about, Murray. Some people are looking to trade him. I was saying hold the line,
But all of a sudden, a couple 60-point games, a 50, 34, like he's coming into form there. In the scoring, I think that's this is what was missing with Jamal is the consist. He put up 50 points against the Cavs.
Yep.
Just the consistency.
I believe that was the same night that Embiid went off. That was his 95-point night.
What a night for you. But back to Jarrett Allen real quick. Just looking at what he's been doing the last 7 days, which is equal to 4 games. So you see he's getting starter minutes. He's getting his points way up. 4 straight double-doubles, technically 6 straight double-doubles. But just everything is like I don't know if there's that many players that I would want to trade Jarrett Allen for. I think if you are the Jarrett Allen owner, you're probably holding
especially where you drafted him, and people aren't going to be offering fair trades for Jarrett Allen right now.
Right.
They're coming, they're hunting, they're sniping. But as Kyle has shown, there's not many players that you're going to get offered for Jarrett Allen that you're going to accept that trade.
And then it's been a 1 week sample of Jarrett Allen being the featured starter, and I think he's a top 10 player probably the rest of the way. The only way I would probably trade him is if you can get Vucevic here or like Embiid, like that. Those are like the only bigs that I would consider moving. Maybe of course Jokic, but
if someone offered you Luka, you might move.
Right, but
yeah.
The guy that is kind of the questionable, like maybe like would you take Sabonis or Jarrett Allen? I think
I'm taking Allen going.
I take Jarrett Allen. Would you take Karl Anthony Towns or would you take Jarrett Allen?
I think I'm taking Allen right now.
I might take Jarrett Allen,
which is crazy to say, but
I mean Julius Randle for Jarrett Allen. I still think I'm taking Jarrett.
That's a pretty fair trade, but I mean Allen, his performance has just been. It's not like it's unexpected or he's like overperforming. This is just what a Jarrett Allen does on this team. This is what Drummond was doing before, but now we have a younger, faster.
Drummond was doing because the scoring is more consistent. I think you see the 20s.
He fits better with the young guns. Yep. This is a bad situation team right now, but it has a bright future.
For fantasy, like
but for fantasy, that's like as we've said, that's an ideal situation. Start coaching some of these young, talented guys that are just going out there and playing basketball.
And that was kind of a main theme for John and I on Tuesday night show. But I got a question here from Aiden. This is kind of a good one. We had that mock draft not too long ago where we were talking, and he's asking, who would you guys pick number 1 in fantasy today, midway through the season? Is it still Jokic? Is it Luka? Is it Harden? And you have the case for Joel Embiid at this point.
It's probably Giannis. Let's just be honest. It should always be Giannis. That's just the first rule of basketball.
I want to.
Giannis should be the number 1 overall pick.
So I'm filtering right now by instead of like the last 7 days, like I typically do on the full season. So Jokic actually has Giannis by 1.1 points. You got Luka at number 3, Embiid. James Harden. These are technically all preference.
But look at the consistency once you start filtering. You did the 30 days, and you start doing the 7. It's Giannis is always there.
Giannis, the last 30 days, he's the number 1, and then I think from this point on, he's going to just continue to be the number 1. The last 15 days, he's averaging 65 points. So the gap from him to the next best player, you're talking 65 down to 57. Which, if you're drafting today, I think it's Giannis. That's a pretty easy one.
And then probably Embiid. I don't think maybe Jokic goes second, but maybe you go Giannis and Embiid, and neither of those guys got taken in the first 2 picks.
I just wanted to give you the layup opportunity here, the alley-oop, to talk about what Joel Embiid did, or what he's been like. You've done it like all throughout the whole show, like just since we've been doing this show. But 95.25, I think that is the new season high for fantasy output. Depends on your scoring system, but I don't think anyone else has been over 90. I think maybe 81 or 82 was the ceiling. But massive game against Chicago. Did that game didn't go into overtime? Did it? It did.
I don't know. I actually thought Embiid left some points on the board. I was watching that game. It must have been a national televised game or something, because I watched it and I thought Embiid probably could have got 100. So that's what I have to say about that.
I mean, it was Chicago, so like it's not the best.
Embiid he's playing exactly how a healthy Joel Embiid in his good system is playing. He's with Doc Rivers now. He is the main guy there, and that's what he always needed to be, because he is the best player on that team, and he's one of the better players in our league right now.
Look at this massive run. He's had a great February. You just look at some of the 30s. This might be.
This is a center too. I mean,
I'm curious. I want to pull up Embiid's career stats. I just want to. He's got to be averaging a career high in points this season, I would bet. Let's take a look at it. So where's my points? So 29.8 points on the year right now. His best next was 27.5. So he's got a career high there. I'm trying to see what else we can look for career highs. Not in the rebounds. That's kind of status quo. But again, it's those points that is very consistent. And then he's also playing a ton of games. He's not really – he'll miss like a one game every other week kind of thing. But the health of him has been pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Aiden's asking us to look at James Harden. So I still don't know what to do with Brooklyn. Like, when are we getting Kevin Durant back, man? He's got the hamstring injury now.
Yeah.
So if you were able to kind of hold on to James Harden throughout the early Houston days,
you're feeling good right now. I mean, this is the James Harden we know.
This is what you paid for.
Yep.
First or second overall pick. So I just want to filter by Brooklyn, and maybe we try to figure out who could help us on Brooklyn here. I'm just going to filter by last 7 days. I wanted to look for the Durant update. But Kyrie just holding steady, 40 points per game roughly the last 7 days. DeAndre Jordan. Bruce Brown, look at this. The last 7 days, he's been averaging 30.4 points.
Bruce Brown's been a nice little addition there.
And looks like a couple of our guys have gotten him. But again, over the last few days, you like the minutes, well over 20 minutes per game. You got a 40, a 31, a 19, a 15, a 16. Not terrible if you look at that like on a weekly basis. Like, you'll take those points if you get one of these 30s or these 29s with it. So Bruce Brown, someone to keep an eye on. I was looking for. Here we go. I wanted to read Kevin Durant's updates. So they have 3 more games until the AllStar break. He's not playing until the AllStar break, is he?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah.
So
why would they?
And like just the standings of it too, like what?
I'm honestly surprised we're having an AllStar game.
I wish they didn't. They don't need the AllStar game, but I like the skills competition, because those can be socially like you can have a dunk contest and you can have a 3-point contest.
Yeah, those are the fun ones, but
maybe a couple other fun kind of things there. But, man, you see the Nets here. Aiden just pointed out, but they're on a 7-game win streak without Kevin Durant the last 6 games. This is a problem.
The Nets are who we thought they were.
And
it's just coming together finally.
If you're a Nets fan, this is exciting, because
who's stopping the Nets this year?
In the East? Like,
just anywhere.
I see the East kind of it's this yellow brick road that's like opens up. Like, they can do whatever they want to get like we're gonna put them in pen in the East Finals, and it's up to the Bucks or the Sixers to make it go to 6 games, 7 games.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I see the Nets probably in 5 or 6 at the moment right now.
Have you seen these Kyle Lowry trade rumors?
What do you got?
I've heard that Lowry, a couple teams were looking into him. Don't remember the team names. I believe a couple competitors. One was the Heat, and I can't remember what the other team name was, but that was something that interested me with the Raptors, how where they're at. And then also the Porzingis. I don't know if you saw that this morning.
Yeah,
the Mavs were
here, and they got some of these trade rumors here. So here's the Kyle Lowry one.
Philadelphia was the other team. That's who it was.
So the Heat and the Clippers are interested potentially in Mr. Lowry.
In the Sixers.
Yeah,
Yep.
Lowry would like to be in Philly. That's what the source
That
said.
was the team that I was like, oh wow. But even Miami, that's a game changer.
Austin Rivers, I don't know if that does anything for anybody. Bradley Beal?
He's going nowhere. This team's making the playoffs. Look how they're playing.
You talking to the Knicks here? Let's see here.
Beal and I think Washington's onto something. I think Washington's actually going to be a buyer when everyone thought they were going to be a seller.
So Washington, they're 11-18.
But how many have they won in a row? Well, they just lost last night.
6-4. It's like
they had 5 in a row.
They're playing some of their best ball. So that one's kind of interesting. I don't know why they would want to move Beal though.
You have 2 like alpha male competitors. These guys, these are going to make the playoffs if they want to.
And
maybe Washington's a team that goes out and gets Andre Drummond.
Yikes. That would be neat. Ooh. If they can get the money right, then this is the man. And then let's play that, because that'd be dangerous. Like if you get them to the bubble, or not the bubble, but I keep thinking of like that little play.
Get into that, yeah. You're right. Get into that play-in game, and then you can win too.
I'm banking on Beal, Russ, and Drummond here. That's gonna be
for 2 games. Hell yeah.
And then what do you got here for Porzingis?
This one doesn't make sense to me. This is a young Dallas team. They're struggling.
Golden State,
but I mean, what you paid for Porzingis wasn't much. I don't even know if you get that back for him right now. What are you getting back for Porzingis right now? Dallas has a very big problem on the defense end, though. They can score with anyone, but
I don't know. Porzingis, he's still 25, so he's going to be attractive if they can get someone's lottery pick. Like that's probably.
I don't understand why they're trying to get a lottery pick though. Like, why don't you keep Porzingis and Luka? And are they saying they're better off without Porzingis? Is that the thought here?
It might be. I mean, they're very deep at the wing position. They just don't have a true center there. So I don't know. Interesting. I don't know when the trade deadline is, but I think
isn't it usually a week after the?
It's probably end of March.
It might be longer now, though.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see anything, but I don't know. A lot of fun free agents potentially on the move here. We got the Mavericks and the Sixers playing right now. Actually, this game doesn't. It's on TNT as well, so maybe we'll be able to catch the second half of that.
Yep.
But I just wanted to. Like, who are they playing at center when they don't? I mean, they got Willie Cauley-Stein, which is fine, but they don't have a
Dwight Powell. They'll play there.
I like Dwight Powell.
Yeah, it's all small ball there. Honestly, it's not a very good roster.
So, I mean, if you're the Mavericks owner, like, you're Mark Cuban, like, what do you get Luka? Like, what does Luka need? He needs some shooters, right?
Luka needs some shooters, and he needs a hard-nosed defender.
I'm just trying to think of NBA free agents or potentially guys available. Oh man, like because Luka's the ultimate star power on that team. So he needs kind of role players. Like my head immediately goes to a guy like Terrence Ross. I don't know what his contract situation is like in Orlando, but you get the.
But it doesn't. In today's NBA, it doesn't matter. I mean, Luka can be the all-star there and be the head honcho, but he still needs other stars. Because come playoff time, teams can let Luka go off for 41 and still beat the Mavericks at this point.
Porzingis isn't even playing tonight. He's not on his name in here.
So I don't know. It's a hard situation. You don't have a lot of outside of Porzingis. That's maybe what the Mavericks are looking at. I mean, outside of Porzingis, what do they have for trade capital? So they're seeing that it's not working now. Maybe we move him, get a couple other pieces, but.
Well, Aiden's kind of making an interesting point. What if you sent Wiggins and Wiseman to Dallas, and is that enough for Porzingis? Like, is that equal? I don't know. I'm talking with the Minnesota first, trying to figure out what that is. I don't know. I think Golden State does make sense for a guy like Porzingis. That I like that fit. I just don't know what they have to give the Dallas Mavericks that's worth it for them. But I don't know. Dallas.
What was Aiden talking about with the first round pick?
I don't know. Does Golden State have Minnesota's first round pick?
I don't think it's this year. I think it's protected this year.
But that was for D'Angelo, right?
Yeah, that was D'Angelo sign and trade. I don't think it's outright first. I believe it's protected this year.
Just checking out the NBA draft order real quick. It's got
Yeah, they have Minnesota at the top there. I believe it's a protected pick this year.
It's protected 1 through 4. Yeah, these are all protected here. Interesting.
So go up on the Minnesota one. What does it say? 1 through 3?
Protected 1 through 3, yes. So Minnesota can move that. I don't know why they would. Like they're at this point, is it what's his name? Cade Cunningham? Is that de facto number 1?
I don't believe so. I mean, I think it's the thought. Cade Cunningham. You got Jalen Suggs, who's also fallen down a lot. Jalen Green and Jonathan Kuminga are actually my favorite 2 players. I've been talking to you about them a lot. They're in the G League right now.
Huh.
They're playing big boy ball, and they're doing very well.
How does this work? Like, what are they? I mean, they're 18 point. Like, did they just get signed out of high school and just said, "I'm not going to college"?
Yeah. So you have that option. And then it's just a different type of contract you sign. You know,
like they don't belong to. They're not.
They're just
a big franchise. They're just making money in the G League. That's a potential game changing avenue for a lot of players.
Yes. And this is the first year we're seeing these guys of this high caliber talent doing it. You know, other guys have gone overseas. Other guys, you know, LaMelo did his thing, but these 2 guys I'm very excited about. They're playing excellent basketball against NBA competition. You know, not all-star NBA competition, but that's a huge difference from college. I believe that.
100%.
The G Leagues is just going to be a flourishing thing for these players.
Well, they're playing players who will play in the NBA at some point.
They come up and down. They have an NBA experience. You know, some of those guys in the G League have played 7 years in the NBA, and they're just they know how to run an NBA team.
They're getting exposure to the pros. They're getting acclimated to the schedule of the pros. Like these 2 are interesting.
So the schedule is a little different than G League right now. It's all a bubble. They're playing in a bubble right now, but yeah, 100%, Kyle.
But as far as like the pro style life,
yes, you're living, and this is how you make money type deal, which I've always loved. I've loved that about the AAA and the MLB, like, or the AA. It's like, hey, this is a pro style life. You're traveling, you're doing this. This is what it's all about.
This is extremely interesting. I think these 2 might be kind of blazing a new path for potential guys that if they're thinking they want to be one and done, like this might be the new thing. And I know the whole NCAA not paying players and kind of thing like this. This is a way for players to get paid for their contributions as a freshman, potentially changing. You put one of these freshmen on a team like Ohio or Oklahoma State, like Cade Cunningham is putting Oklahoma State on TV this year.
Yep.
He's earning them a lot of dollars.
And Cunningham's, between 6'7" and 6'8".
Mm-hmm.
So they have a 6'7" as a point guard. His talent level is insane. But I've also watched a lot more of Jalen Suggs, and that guy can just light it up from anywhere. He's an impressive basketball player.
He's probably the one guy I've seen the most at the top. My dad and my brother, they're Gonzaga fans, so that's the one team that they really really like. There's no guys from Baylor, are there? Baylor, Jared Butler.
Yeah,
I think that's he's the scorer for Baylor. He's pretty fun to watch, but he's kind of a little bit older. Is Baylor still undefeated? Is that who? I'm trying to think. I thought there was an undefeated team in the NCAA still.
I don't think so, because Baylor would be number 1, I would think.
But I thought they had a lot of games where they were already filtered by top 25. We'll just go to Big 12.
Oh, they are.
They are.
18-0. Yeah.
They hit a snag where they couldn't be playing games anymore. So I don't know why they would have dropped, but Baylor's a really fun team and kind of the dark horse that I've been monitoring. But I don't know. Let me fun college basketball. We're going on a tangent over here.
Well, it's fun to look. I follow this stuff, guys. 2 years before, I love the NBA draft. I love watching these prospects. You can watch them coming out of high school, and there's highlight reels. There's all this stuff on all these prospects, and some of these guys. If you go down a little, Kyle, I want to point out. So keep going. Keep going.
Keontae.
Keep going.
What team are we looking for?
So look at Greg Brown here, projected 29, and then keep going.
We're looking for freshmen.
Yeah.
Christopher here.
I'm looking for the Kentucky freshman.
I saw one earlier. I think that might have been him.
Did I miss him? BJ Boston. So BJ Boston and Greg Brown, going into the season, you could have looked at a mock draft and they were, top 4 picks, top 5. BJ Boston was the number 1 usually.
But because their teams aren't playing very well,
and he's not playing well. I mean, he's been benched. He's not even a starter at this point.
This is pretty good though for Greg Brown. He's averaging a double-double as a freshman.
Yeah, I think his biggest knock is that it's all athleticism stuff. I really, really like Greg Brown going into the NBA though. He's a Jonathan Isaac-esque type player.
Okay.
He's not as tall, but he's just as lengthy,
mm-hmm.
and he's just as skilled, and he's got that same skill set where it's just tenacious attack, and then Isaac has developed a shot now, so that's Greg Brown's next step. But he's a prospect I really like.
Okay, 17.5 points, almost 12 rebounds per game over there in the Big 12. A lot of fun. I don't know. It's been a weird year because there's really no big. I guess Jalen Johnson's the best Duke prospect.
We don't have Zion. this year.
Duke and North Carolina, man. Both those teams are struggling, so it kind of feels.
Scotty Barnes is a guy I really like too. He's underperforming now, but he's going to be an NBA talent.
Got a 6'6" guard here for a shooting guard for Arkansas. I don't know anything.
I don't know a whole lot about him.
And then Jaden Springer here, point guard.
Yep, Springer's been a big top 10 guy.
Huh.
Look at that. Another G League, though. Point guard. 6'5" G League point guard.
Deshaun.
6'5", 224 for a point guard. That boy's thick.
I'm super intrigued with these guys going to the G League. I think that's going to be a pretty popular thing going forward.
And all these overseas guys started it. So they're not the Trailblazers, but these guys are finally able to do it in the G League. You look at the Melo and the Lonzos and, all these guys that skipped college. And
any idea what those contracts would like? Like a G League?
I don't know what the G. It's a secondary because they have the G League contracts for active players, and then it's a different contract for the rookies coming in because they're not technically,
So that's
owned or bought by a team.
Which this is numbers for a little bit. So 35 for a season for just a little bit of work. That's not terrible. I guess.
And then you get the call up, and you get the guaranteed 100.
Well, and then that's $35K. That's a semester of school. Like that's what a semester of school. So you could go. I mean, these guys are all on scholarships probably for the most part, but might as well get paid and I don't know, just play against some better.
I think the biggest thing for me about the G League and always has been my thought is pace of play.
Mm-hmm.
College basketball is so much slower. It doesn't matter what teams you're watching. It gets slowed down so much because they can. In the NBA, that's why a lot of rookies struggle because the game is so quick and it happens so fast and everyone's moving around you.
And I mean that's kind of why I like college basketball.
Right,
it is slow. There's more attention to like an actual play being ran.
You're running plays. You're running multiple plays.
You're learning plays,
multiple sets. But yeah, we're in agreement. That's why I love the NBA. It's quick. It's fast.
It's more unplanned stuff. This is just I'm a better player than you, and you can't stop this, so we're just gonna keep doing this kind of thing.
Yep.
But I don't know, man. We're going on about a half an hour here. Anything else like on your mind? Any teams you want to look at? Is anything? I mean, it's getting to that weird point now, like where we can see the AllStar break. It feels like things have kind of like finally evened out. Like a lot of these standings look like we're supposed to be. This is what it looks like. You got the Toronto Raptors kind of peeking back up. The Miami Heat have lifted themselves up. They're on a 7-3 the last 10 days. So Chicago Bulls, a little bit of a surprise here. The Knicks fell back a little bit. I still think there's going to be, I don't know, the Bulls, the Hornets, the Celtics will get lifted up as well. But the Knicks and the Hawks, there's a handful of good things going on in the East, and that's kind of what I think we both watch probably more East than anything. That's usually just what's on for us.
Yes,
But
sir. I agree. I think it's finally getting to where we're at. There's a lot of fun reactionary stuff at the beginning of the season. But as a Cavaliers fan, I know that the season's like 3-4 weeks long usually at this point. And
it was longer for this year was a little bit longer than
they had some fun. I rode the wave. You can't be the pessimistic all the time, but our time has come. We're where we need to be, and
now it's just about, I think, getting your core.
I think you definitely see the Celtics in the playoffs. The Charlotte Hornets play impressive basketball. I don't know why, but I find myself watching so many Charlotte Hornets House of Highlights, and it's
their lineup is actually very well balanced. Like,
yes, they're a pretty good team. They're not amazing, but
great.
It's hard for me to say that they're going to drop out of the playoffs.
Right.
Gordon Hayward's done a lot for that team, and I think the Chicago Bulls are definitely a pretender. They'll get booted out of these playoffs.
Yeah, what is Chicago? Who do they think they are?
Yeah, it's sad what they're doing to the league right now, but they'll definitely be overtaken. I assume we get the Celtics up into that 6 seed. I mean, look at the difference, or that 4 seed. Pacers are 15 and 15. The Bucks, the Sixers, and the Nets. Those are your top 3. They're going to be fighting it out.
Yep. But I was going to say with the Bulls, I think there's maybe a little bit of correlation to, year 2 of Kobe White, but a healthy Zach LaVine. I think that's,
a healthy Zach LaVine. They have a talented team, and that was always something I questioned last year. It's like, why isn't this team a little bit better? But now they finally have a coach. They got Billy Donovan. They have,
what's impressive is they've been doing this without Lauri Markkanen for a while. Like Thaddeus Young's been playing good. Wendell Carter's been playing good. They still don't have Otto Porter. I don't know whatever's going to happen with him. But
and I think Williams is out for a while, isn't he?
Patrick Williams.
I believe I saw a report today.
He's 3-game slump. No, this looks good. I don't see anything.
Nothing?
His minutes, man. You just look at this guy putting up the numbers. So this is really exciting. He's in just the last 3 games. This is the guy that I'll probably be talking about on the Waiver Wire show again next week.
Give us a Google search of Patrick Williams.
Under 18% owned, but all of a sudden some really good numbers here. Want me to add like the word injury or something?
Mm-hmm.
Here, news. It's from 3 weeks ago. No news. Oh. He's good to go, man.
Good. I could have swore I got a Fantasy Life alert about Patrick Williams. But
maybe it was a happy alert. Maybe he was. I don't know.
Could have been.
Check that. But 3 straight games.
Is it his birthday today?
It might be. You might have gotten the Patrick Williams happy birthday 21.
I would have taken a Patrick Williams birthday Top Shot card, to be honest. At this point, I'll take anything.
We will get one. Aiden's asking us to look at the Phoenix Suns. This is a team that I haven't looked at too much.
What would you like us to look at, Aiden?
Well, I'm gonna filter it just by fantasy points per game here, and just kind of work our way.
I thought Jay Crowder was on our waiver wires this week. He was there for a minute.
I think Schmitty got him. Schmitty got him 2 days ago.
Yep.
Here, after Jesse dropped him. So interesting. Jesse's been kind of all over this guy for a bit. But anyways, Chris Paul, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, these guys are must own. I would say Mikal Bridges is probably must own at this point too. He's
yes.
28 points per game. But after that, and then you get into Jay Crowder, and then there's a drop off. Like Crowder's 23% owned. And
it's so hard. Yeah.
Where are we getting points from here? I know Frank Kaminsky.
You want to play Cameron Johnson, don't you? But what's Cameron Johnson going to do for me? Am I getting 12 points? Am I getting 20?
He's right on that.
Yeah.
threshold where we like. But look at the last 4 games: 21, 20, 13.
So the Suns, good point out. The Suns have players that are definitely playable, and you just gotta. I think when you're looking at the Suns players outside of their guys that are obviously rostered, you gotta go off schedule. You gotta, okay, how many guys? I get 5 pickups this week. How many games are these guys getting me? My favorite thing to do recently is those back-to-back games. Because I want to cover either a Tuesday or a Thursday game. Because you got to kind of cover those for whatever reason. The NBA schedules, would you say, Kyle, favored the Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule?
It seems to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday seem to be my most busy.
And then Saturday is also usually a pretty beaster. And then Sunday, I like to leave. That's a good point. I like to leave 1 pickup on a Sunday.
Into the weekend. Yeah.
Just to kind of see, especially if you're in a close game, or you just want to kind of bury the guy.
And then also too, like a lot of times you don't need to make that pickup. If I don't need to, I won't.
But that's when you use it to fill one of those IR spots. And I've been doing that all year. I still have DeAndre Hunter on my team. Should I drop him?
Well, let's take a look at the notes there. Is it worth holding on to?
His season, man. He had a knee injury.
He has moved to weight-bearing exercises and some on-court work as rehabs from whatever. They plan to evaluate him in 2 weeks. This was on the 17th, so this was over a week ago. So he had a 7 to 10 week timetable. When was that initially put out there? That was.
So, I mean, Hunter maybe is a reward for me.
Essentially, he's been out since February 1st. So
he's got 4 weeks.
4 weeks. You got all of March. He might be back in April, man. At some point,
that's a long time to hold.
But if the Atlanta Hawks can linger around 7, 8, 9, 10 in the East, there's incentive to getting him going. So if you guys have multiple IR spots, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe check it out.
I haven't been forced to drop him yet, so I won't. But
I mean, just the fact that there's no, and he's obviously hurt. That's bad news. But there's no bad news on his.
Yeah, he's doing some nice rehab. That's good to hear, and they're going to evaluate him. So maybe he's a guy you hold on until we get that evaluation.
So I don't know. Me and John looked a lot at that on Tuesday night as guys that were kind of injured that might be holds. We also looked at a lot of younger players who. On not so good teams that they're only going to get more and more run as the season goes on.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about Hunter though. That one's very interesting. Aiden's asking us to look at the Pelicans. Let's take a peek at the New Orleans Pelicans here. So of course Zion, Brandon Ingram, Lonzo, probably Steven Adams is a must own, and then Bledsoe, and then so that's basically their starting 5, their top 5 for fantasy. And then you're going to get into Josh Hart. Have you looked at Josh Hart's numbers? He's kind of like this casual fringe guy you could pick up. Looks like John's got him for the week here. He's under 33% owned.
There's a guy I looked at last week. Probably should have added, but
so like his floor, like he's got a nice floor, like the 12, 14, 15, 16, and then just maybe once a week he'll do something crazy like a 52, a 44, a 38, a 41. So
yeah,
I think this year has changed a lot of my thinking. Is I'm not trying to add a guy just for 1 or 2 games now. It's more of I want to add that guy that's got 3 or 4 more good games this weekend.
Right.
And and it helps thinking like this too, because sure, you add a Davis Bertans for 1 game, you're gonna get 6 points. But you add Davis Bertans for 4 games, like one of those games, maybe 2 of those games, he has a couple threes. But if you kind of small chunk it into 3 or 4 games instead of just viewing it as a one night stand, that's kind of been helping me this year. So I do like Josh Hart.
Absolutely. That's the, kind of been my outlook this year too, where I started looking at schedules where I can add guys that I can use throughout the week, that I'm not just, I feel like before it was always just kind of lack of a better term, pump and dump type deal. You would grab them. I need you to get, floor 10 points. That's all I need. 10 points from you. So that's a different strategy too. And I think it's something you should embrace as a fantasy owner, is to always, look at a guy that you can use more than once.
And especially like the way that it's on my mind because I was looking at there was a lot of Washington Wizards to look at this week. There was a lot of New York Knicks to look at because like what's
What
tonight?
about the Memphis Grizzlies? There's a lot of Grizzlies and Clippers to look at too.
Um, I don't really have too much other people here to pull out on the
Jackson Hayes is surprisingly a guy. He's been on my watch list all season. I want him to be better. I want him to just play more because he's in that. Miles Turner kind of started this thought with me. I believe Miles Turner played at Texas, correct? And then Jarrett Allen was another Texas center. And Jackson Hayes also played at Texas
University.
Yeah. So they have this recruiting like that I love, and it's these big, lengthy, tall, long arm centers that can block shots and get rebounds. And Jackson Hayes is just the next guy in line for that. I believe he's gonna start. Probably not this year. I don't know. Maybe it'll happen this year, but in the future, I think he's got like a Jarrett Allen type of career.
I think the issue is they got Willie Hernan Gomez.
They got Willie. They got Zion. They got Steven Adams. They got.
What do you think of these numbers? Are these like in a 12-man league? Are these rosterable numbers here for you?
He's definitely a fringe player. A guy you're going to look at. It's when it comes to numbers like this, and guys, it's always kind of up to the owner. You know how they feel about the person, if he's a rosterable or not. He's kind of like a Dort or a Daniel House for me. He's right in that trajectory. He's had some very consistent games here. So, if you have him now, maybe you hold on to him.
So like this would be like a guy like Jeremy Lamb or like Miller or something for me, where guys that are, you kind of shuffle your last 1 to 2 positions on your team. But at the moment right now, this is probably a hold. You look at his last 5 games. I don't know what the hell happened against Detroit. Only 4 rebounds. Nothing else happened. But really nice month of February here for Mr. Willie Hernan Gomez. Only 8% owned. So definitely add him to the watch list. Keep an eye on this. I thought I saw Steven Adams has been, didn't he? Yeah, he's been missing some games, which has been opening some things up there at the center position. So if anything continues to linger, or
I think that is what caught my eye on the Jackson Hayes and why he wasn't playing much, because Adams was missing games, but
no minutes.
Yeah,
interesting.
I think they took him top 10 last year, maybe top 15,
7, 8. And now I gotta look it up. But then it looks like we have another question. Well, not a question, but Aiden's saying Jaren Jackson's been the bust of the year. Who do you think's been the bust of the year, Drake? And Hayes was number 8th overall so far. But the
bust of the year for just fantasy.
The first half of the year. This is the maybe next week, because I don't think we have basketball next week. Maybe that's the last couple of days of basketball. Maybe we do kind of mid-season awards or something. We kind of make a list of some stupid awards.
Yeah, can you? I can't think of someone off the top of my head. Some guys that were extremely well paid this year. I got to think of Bogdanovich going to Atlanta. Is he the bust of the year? Probably, because the Bucks lost picks over that.
He's kind of hurt though. I don't know.
Can we count Hurt as bust? I don't know.
Well, we'll put him on the list. I'm trying to still think of somebody else that could maybe take the cake, because I think a lot of people were drafting him pretty damn high. I'm just looking for percent roster.
Killian Hayes? Is Killian Hayes the bust of the year?
I don't know if that's unfair for a rookie.
It's pretty rude.
I'm just looking
Bam Abdiu. He's kind of underperformed a little.
Here.
What you're looking at.
I'm filtering the 2021 season by total points here. I wish I could filter by actually, this is what we should do. We're going to go to our draft recap. Let's dust this little thing off here. So busts of the year. Siakam's been playing better. I wouldn't call him a bust. I'm fine.
Is Ben Simmons still a first-round pick?
I think if we're drafting today, you're probably considering him at that turn of 12, 13.
Yeah, so I think he still fits there. His numbers prove that.
Obviously, you'd take a guy like Joel Embiid or
Russell Westbrook in round 2. Is he living up to that?
Oh,
Yeah, he is.
he's he's doing great. I'm surprised that Curry went 204 in our league. That seems a little.
Yeah, Curry's been mashing.
So Zion at 205, averaging. He's Zion's picking it up. I think.
Yeah,
If we
Zion's right where he needs to be.
probably the first January, he's a little disappointed. But
Is Jimmy Butler the bust of the year?
I was going to say Donovan Mitchell's also turned it up. He's averaging
Nope.
5. He's doing fine.
I think all these players are finally kind of hitting their stride. It's really hard for me to find out. Round 4 in John Collins. We really hyped John Collins on this show too.
But
we're not wrong.
We're taking him in the 4th round here, and this is a mid-3rd. I think when we were liking it, it was maybe as like the 50th overall.
TJ Warren, there's your bust of the year. TJ Warren the bust of the year? He's injured now, but was TJ Warren all that successful while playing?
Only 21 points per game. How many did he play? So I
think he was an extremely overhyped bubble player. I was trying to tell people that all off season, but.
So, Collins, we'll take a little L on him. I do.
Bootsy has no excuses. He's been healthy. No. That's on us. But Kyle Lowry, has Kyle Lowry been pretty underperforming this year? I don't know.
My brother took Lowry and Fred VanVleet back to back. That's pretty crazy. It's about 35.
No, it's right where he needs to be.
It's
he was hurt, or the Raptors had some games off or something.
VanVleet's looking pretty solid, though.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of anybody else. So Nurkic, TJ Warren, kind of disappointing names there. Getting into the 5th and 6th round.
5th round, Hassan Whiteside.
Hassan Whiteside. This is it. This one outweighs John Collins. It outweighs to me TJ Warren, who
beats everything.
It outweighs things. So I think that's our bitch, Hassan Whiteside.
Wow. Congratulations, Cody. Jacobs.
Your season was done before it started. Oh man, poor Hassan Whiteside. Let's pour one out. 19.75 points for this 5th round pick. He had the moment, though. The 61.
I picked him up this week, guys. He was playing Brooklyn again, and he didn't play for whatever reason. So.
Oh man,
that was a 5th round pick, eh?
Aiden was saying, "Don't roast." Who are we roasting for rookies? I can't remember.
Was it Hayes? It might have been.
Who was your 5th round pick in this? Michael Porter Jr. I'm still bitter about letting you get Julius Randle round 6 because I wanted to do it. I wanted to do it at the 4-5 turn. I went with McCollum and Kelly Oubre. Oubre was pissing me off, but he's
Oubre is probably a bad pick there.
But he's playing better. If you look at these numbers, and we filter again his last 7 days. Look at these numbers compared last 7 days versus the season. This is what he's been kind of playing at. So I'm happier with that. But I don't know. He's a player you just want him to be better than what he is. He's a very streaky player, good length and stuff. But
you got connected to him going to Golden State, so you're like, wow, he's in a great system. Finally, he's with good players. This is where we're gonna see consistent Oubre, and maybe we are finally. Maybe he had to learn it. So
especially with
Julius Randle is an up and coming. He has been. He's just
getting the respect finally this year.
Yes.
But
how hard is it to make an NBA AllStar game these days? My God.
I don't know. Should we call?
Should they have a B team AllStar game? Should they go back to freshman year style and let the other boys play?
LeBron, just take a year off from the AllStar break. It's okay. We'll give you an asterisk maybe.
Yeah.
Interesting here. Aiden's asking if Derrick Rose is.
Yes, he is. He is if he's available. He's finally starting.
But
Tom Thibodeau is going to run him.
I've got another guy. This is the guy that I picked up because he's got 3 games in the next 7 days or the next 4 days, and that is. We'll first look at Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose. Let's see here.
He's already got 14 points tonight.
He's playing well tonight. I think that game's probably just at halftime almost. But he dropped 37.5 the other night. A weird game against Minnesota. But you see, more minutes, more attention. I think as long as he's healthy, he's rosterable Yeah,
At least pick him up, play him for the week. He's probably not a guy you have to hold on forever unless he keeps this up. But
I mean, if you're looking at it from the last 7 days, he's the Knicks' third best fantasy player.
Mhm.
RJ Barrett, what's going on with RJ Barrett? He's been kind of in a funk lately. The last 15 games, he's only averaging 24.2 points per game.
I'm just telling you guys that Tom Thibodeau is not good for young players.
Developing.
It's just.
He doesn't.
I mean, look at Toppin. He was the 7th overall pick, and he's playing 12 minutes a game.
There was
on a bad team.
There's finally a good blurb about him today, but Obi Toppin getting involved. But
I mean, Kevin Knox is down in the D League. I think I don't even know if he's back up with the team yet.
Kick these young kids while they're down, who know they're good players. That's very risky to do that to someone
on a bad team. I mean, but this is a Thibodeau. He doesn't lose. He's trying to win with this roster.
And then this leads to my pickup for the rest of the weekend. It was
Taj Gibson.
Because he's put back-to-back 21-point games.
And no other coach would play Taj Gibson in the league.
I get 3 games of this.
He's already got 10 points.
I just want my 50 points.
He has 11 minutes in a game right now.
Just wheeling and dealing, racking them up.
He's 78 years old.
It is
insane.
It is sick. I don't know. I'll co-sign on Derrick Rose. Nerlens Noel does need to be owned too, as long as Mitchell Robinson's out. I don't love it. You're basically going to get on a low end a 20-night game. So 12-man league fired up. Nerlens Noel is pretty solid here.
Absolutely.
But I don't know. Knicks are interesting. The Knicks need some new guidance up there. But we'll see what happens when Mitch.
This is their new guidance.
They are.
This is what they hired.
Whatever happened to Michael Kidd-Gilchrist? Nothing, huh?
He never developed that secondary offensive, kind of weaponry. And
he was a lottery pick, right? He was a top 3 or 4 pick, I believe.
I don't know if it was top, at least top 8.
Oh, spelled that wrong. He was round 1 pick 2. He was the 2nd overall pick in 2012. Yeah, that was the 2012 draft. See, sometimes for me, I'll get really bored and I'll just look at NBA drafts.
Yeah, there can be some outlier craziness. So Anthony Davis, Kidd-Gilchrist, Bradley Beal. That was Cleveland took Deion Waiters. That was the year I wanted Harrison Barnes. I was attracted to Harrison Barnes.
A good class, man.
It's a very good class. It was just Michael Kidd-Gilchrist went 2. Holy crap.
I mean, Austin Rivers never was able to do anything here. Evan Fournier down here. Terrence
Sullinger was surprisingly never as effective as I thought he would be.
Little Johnny Henson. Kendall Marshall, UNC. That was a really good UNC squad coming in.
Yes.
4 guys drafted in the first round. I think they were probably just coming off a national championship, maybe.
Yeah. Perry Jones. I remember him as a big fun guy at Baylor.
Remember Fab Mello?
Yep.
Festus Ezeli. I remember him being a free.
Yep.
Miles Plumlee down here still kicking it. Interesting. Tomas.
Chris Middleton.
Chris.
Crowder.
On.
Draymond Green.
Wow, Dan Crowder. Yep.
Kyle Quinn still has a career.
Joseph's still kicking it, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't know. That was a Willie Barton. There's your Willie B.
Willie B. Little Willie.
Interesting. I don't know. Sometimes it's kind of fun to just look. Let's do one more. We're gonna go to 2010 here, and this is the Kyrie. Derrick Williams. Whatever happened to Derrick Williams?
Never worked out. Yeah, that was Minnesota. I remember Kyrie had played 11 games that year for Duke, and it was a big question, but definitely the guy I wanted at one. And then the Cavs had 4, and they went Tristan Thompson. This wasn't a very good draft, by the way. It was.
These guys are all kind of kicking it still, but nothing lead. I mean, Kemba was a hit. That was Klay Thompson. The Morris twins back to back. That's kind of cool. Kawhi at 15. Vucevic, good run here in the middle round. Tobias, Nikola Mirotic.
Yep.
Reggie Jackson. Corey Josephs, Jimmy Butler. end of the round here by Chicago. Pick number
The
3.
Marquette boy.
So this was actually pretty solid. You had Jimmy
It
Butler
was just a very
spread
like
out.
look at that top.
They missed.
What
Yeah.
got picked? You know, it was
Who was
just not
Vesely?
going into it. It wasn't. He was who I actually wanted them to take instead of Thompson, and he ended. I think he maybe lasted 2 or 3 years, and then he went back overseas to play.
Kyle Singler.
Still a professional basketball player.
I remember.
Oh boy, look at number 42.
Davis Bertans. John Lure. John Lure.
Lure from Wisconsin. Everyone remembers him.
Josh Selby from Kansas. I remember being excited about him.
Yeah. Eachwan Moore.
How do you say this name?
We don't have to.
Chuck Woodbury.
I never had to learn it.
Boom.
So,
Boom. Interesting. I don't know. We got into some different stuff today. It's kind of fun.
yes. That's just what I love to do. I could sit here and talk basketball all night. We can't though, because I'm gonna get yelled at soon. So.
But yeah, I want to say if you have any final thoughts, we can get out of here a few minutes early. Otherwise, I don't know. This was good.
I think we're at that season, guys, where you just got to keep plugging along, keep making your daily and your weekly pickups. Use all 5 of those, even if you're just filling IR. Keep playing because get into those playoffs. You know, that's our goal right now. It doesn't exactly matter where your standings are at, but fantasy basketball, you know, it's a long season, kind of tallies off on guys. So keep plugging along, keep adding players, and keep listening and asking questions.
And yeah, this is you and I. We know how to play fantasy basketball. I think the right way, where we're not big trades people, and sometimes like when you get the trades you want, that's usually not what your team was needing. So it's always about, I think, building up that bottom of the roster, whether it's the last 1 or 2 positions, always looking for a guy who's on a hot streak that maybe can stick around. So I think waiver wire is what we stress the most. And I'm always interested too, because we have the hard 5 pickups per week. Like, I'm just curious, like, does any other league that crazy, like where they're like, no, you only get this amount? Like, if it's unlimited, that's pretty badass. But I don't know. I think we're gonna get out of here for the night. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you for the chat room questions. And I don't know. We'll probably see you guys on next Tuesday night, I'm sure, unless there's a schedule change. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you for your time. Have a good one. We'll see you around. Peace.
Thanks, guys.